We're back. Last we pressed the bushings in. So we've got our spindle, we've got our bearing pushed in, we've got our bushing pushed in. Now we have to set preload on the kingpin. So we've mounted the kingpin in the vise. And basically the way this thing is assembled is we've got shims that go in here. So we've got a stack of steel shims that go on first. And then the bearing, and this bearing is a thrust bearing, so it turns on one side and the other side does not. So we want the turning side against our part. And basically, we want to assemble this, and then we need to determine how many thousandths of an inch we've got clearance, because when we set preload. So basically you're gonna run a straight edge across the edge of this, and then with the feeler gauge, check your distance and feel across that. A little difficult to do, a little pain in the rear, but you know, if you take your time, you can figure out what you need. So then, depending on whether you're too tall or too short, too much clearance, not enough clearance, then you can change the size of the shim. And so we've got our handy dandy calipers here. We measure the shim, figure out, you know, what size shims we have, and then based on that, mix and match as necessary in order to fill the gap. Now, for the essence of time, I pre-did this. So, I already know that what I need is 27 thousandths of an inch of shims. So I've got two different shims. One's about 10,000 and the other is about whatever the difference is, I can't think, but whatever the difference, it's 27 thousandths. And since we're assembling this, now we're gonna grease everything. So you wanna put a little grease on the base. You want to put a little grease between the shims because you want everything to be able to slide together. Doesn't need a whole lot, you just want to smear. This will also help kind of keep everything stuck together while you're doing it. Kind of same thing on the bearing. I already greased the shim so the bearing can go on. Ultimately, you're going to end up greasing this whole thing. So ultimately there will be grease in it, but you want to have a little bit to start with. Same thing for our part. So we've got the bushing on this side, and it's a brass with a bunch of holes in it and some slots. And you just want to take some grease and just kind of smear it in there. Make sure you fill the holes in the slot because that's going to be your initial greasing. Ultimately, we've got a grease fitting that goes in here that we're going to put a regular grease gun on, and we'll fill this cavity with grease, which will squish out and ultimately grease it. We've got bearings on this side, the needle roller bearings. Once again, we want to kind of press some grease in here. I know that everybody kind of has their own thing. They like using their own products. I personally have used the Valvoline 632. This is your basic wheel bearing grease, common everywhere. It's got moly built into it. This stuff seems to hold up really well. I've used it for a lot of years. I'm real happy with it. I've used some aviation stuff that seems a little light duty, but you know, grease is grease. If you like what you use that. Shameless plug for Valvoline here. So basically now we're ready to assemble onto the car. We do have a key because this has got a slot in it in order to lock it into the lower And we've got an O-ring that goes on here. And this O-ring just kind of sits in here. So with a little grease, that'll help kind of hold it in. We got our key in, and now we're ready to put it on the car. Now, since this thing gets flipped over and this isn't attached, you know, we're going to be real careful. So we're going to set up for that show, and we'll show you the assembly process on the car. That's how you set preload. So we'll be right back with you.